Okay, hi Israel. I thought I would just give you a custom video feedback. This might be easier to explain for your most recent revisions here. All right, so the first thing that I noticed is your page numbers aren't in correctly, so I'm going to show you how to do that. The next thing I noticed is you do not have any styles open. So remember, we need to add paragraph styles, possibly even character styles. In the video demo that I shared with you in your feedback, as well as on and in announcements, I went through how to do pretty much this whole assignment. So that's why I was hoping you would revert back to that, listen to that, watch that, rewind it if you need to, and just work step by step. But let's see if I can help you with this video as well. I would recommend you go back to just to listen to it if you even if you have already, just to go through it step by step. All right. So the first thing I'm going to show you is how to set up your page numbers correctly. And you don't want to put them on your pages like this in separate type boxes on your actual pages. What you want to do is you want to use your parent pages. So if you go to your page panel where it shows all your pages, you want to click actually on where it says a parent. You want to click on this little icon right here. Okay. So before I do that, let me go ahead and copy this. So I have your words. I'm going to delete your page numbers here. Just delete every box that you have set for this. The reason why we do it this way is because anything that you want repeated, especially page numbers, because it'll automatically number them for you, which is nice based on these pages. It's easier to edit. And like I said, if you're doing like 100+ page or even just a 4-page document, you're not having to do this individual numbering. It's kind of a tedious process. Okay. So let's go ahead and delete all those boxes, go into your pages panel, double click on your one page here, the left side of your A parent. And this is going to show you your parent pages. So anything you put on here is going to show on each of these pages. Anything on the left page will show on your left side of your pages. Anything on the right will show on the right. So let me just quickly show you real quick, just for a visual. If I put like, say, a circle here, and I want this circle to show on every single left-hand page, all I have to do is double click on my left pages and look, it adds that circle in there. I can't edit it in the page panel. I have to go back up to my A parent to edit this. Okay, so anything that you want repeated, just like the same goes for the right side of the page. Once it's in there, and it's repeating on every single page. Okay, and in order to edit it, you have to go back to your parent page and edit it. Now, the same is true for your page numbers. We want it to be repeated, but we don't want to keep adding in the 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just, it would take too much time. So what I want you to do for your page numbers, go to your left side of your parent page, double click, and we're going to zoom in on the left lower hand corner. And we're going to take the type tool and see where that purple guide is. We're going to click just below that, and we're going to put one large text box from the one left margin to the right. Okay, so drag and drop. And then what you're going to do, and I explain this in the lectures as well, is you're going to go up to type on your menu bar, and you're going to select insert special character, and then you're going to go to your markers. So insert special character markers, current page number, select that. And it's going to type an A, and that's really odd to, you're like, why is it typing A? That's just because that's the letter placeholder that you want to see, because once you go back to your page panel, it's going to actually automatically number each page on the left side here. So it'll number your page 2, 2, it'll automatically number your page 4, 4, for example. Okay, now at this point, what you can do is you can hit maybe tab, and you can put the name of your magazine in there. And then what you can decide on is adding a style for this. And what that means is something that you can create very quickly so that it's easily replicated. So I'm going to go ahead and bring up my style sheet. So I'm going to go to Window, Styles, and we're going to do a paragraph style. Paragraph styles are good for more than one word. Character styles are good for one word. Okay, so as I explained before. So in paragraph styles, you're going to see basic paragraph always here. We're going to ignore that. That's just the default. We're going to hit this little plus sign saying new style. It's going to create a new style here called paragraph style. We're going to double click over top and we're going to say, we're going to name this page numbers. Okay. And then with that selected, and once we hit rename it, we're going to double click on the blue part of that. And this is going to bring your paragraph style options. So on the left-hand side here is all of your just different type settings. So you have your general settings. This is where you can name your style if you didn't do it already. Your basic character format. So this is where you can pick out your your typeface. Let's do DIN, bold. This is where you can set the size, and usually page numbers aren't real big. So let's do like 9-point bold. And then let's see, let's do like all caps for this. That means all capital letters. That might look nice. You really don't have to worry about any of these. The only thing I would say is maybe check out character color, and maybe you can make this all red and then click OK. So anytime that you, let's see, there we go. Anytime that you create another box that you want that style to be emulated, you're going to go back to your style sheet to select that. So what I mean by that is, let me go to the right side. So we got the left side set. It's starting right here, right where the margin is. Okay, we could even pull this down a little bit more past the margin, just a little slightly down there. Good. So now we're going to do another type box for the right side. So now go to your right side of your page. So this would be all your right page numbers. Do a zoom in so you can see here. Now here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to paste in the name of your newsletter, and I'm going to go to where my styles go here. Styles, paragraph styles. And watch what happens when I highlight that, because it's not set yet in my style, and I choose page numbers. See how it switches to that same style I had? That's exactly what I want. Okay, now the only other thing I want to do is I want to hit tab, because we want that space in between, right? And then we want to go back up to type and do exactly what we did on the left side. So insert special character, markers, current page number. It's going to do the little A. Now at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to make this so that it's right aligned. So in order to do that, we're going to actually create another paragraph style. So we're going to go another paragraph style, and we're going to name this page numbers, right side. And we're going to align this so it goes to the right. So let's see, indents and spacing, alignment is where you want to go. So indents and spacing, and we're going to go align right and click OK. And what that's going to do is that's going to align your elements. Well, it should here. Oh, I had that. Let me take out the tab that I had. Take out that tab. I think that tab kind of screws it up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to put some spaces in here. So we're just going to go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. And then we're going to go over to here and we're going to do the same thing. And we're going to rename this left side. Take that tab out. We could put another tab in there, and I can show you real quick how to do that. If you double click on the left side and hit tabs, you can actually do a left align tab for your for the, in between the space of the A and the copy. That would be set at like a ½ inch. Click OK. So it would go there, and then this one, let's do the same. Delete those spaces. Double click on the right side, hit tabs, and we're going to set the tab, but we're going to do a right aligned, right? Because that's on a different side and click OK. And then we're going to hit tab. Now it's not doing that. Why is that doing that? Hold on. Oh, because I have to change the alignment. That's right. Okay, hold on. Let me go to indents and spacing. And we're going to go to left align. Okay. And we're going to go back to tabs. Let's do this over again. We're going to set a right tab all the way over. That's where your A will align. And then we'll set another tab about a 1/2 inch away, which is about right there. There we go. Perfect. So you can see, and I might have to adjust this. It's a little big. Let me adjust my tab. Move this in a little bit. I think maybe right there is where a 1/2 is. There we go. Perfect. All right. So it should look like this, where you have the left side with your A marker, Innovative Designs, your right side, same thing, just, on the right-hand lower side. All right. So we're going to save this. And then what we're going to do is we're going to double click on number 1. And what's going to happen is it's going to auto place in your page numbers. See how it kind of pasted in those page numbers? We can delete that one. So you can see page 4 is page 4. You don't have to go in and do that yourself. This one you can't see because you have a red thing back here. So right there, 2, 3. So it automatically numbers them. So you don't have to do it. Now, you can't edit this on, in this panel. You have to actually double click on your parent page to edit it. So just kind of FYI. All right. The next thing is just setting up your style sheets for your body copy because you don't have any style sheets. So let's go to paragraph styles again. We're going to create a new paragraph style. We're going to name this body copy. Oops. Body copy. Okay, actually, you know what? Let's delete that real quick. Before we do that, let's do select. We want to make sure I'm setting this with your actual settings here. Okay, so Calibri regular 12. Okay, so new paragraph style, body copy, name it. And you use Calibri. Let's do 11 by 14. That might be a better. So size 11 by 14. I don't think you need ligatures. Let's take that off. Go ahead and add some spacing, align left. That's perfect. What you can do here is do a space after. That would be space after any paragraph that you would want. I wouldn't go any more than 0.125. That would be in between your paragraphs. So you're not automatically putting that space in there. It's doing it for you. And then what we're going to do is align to grid. So all lines. And I think that's it. Click OK. Now, the next thing I want you to do is go up to Window, and we're going to open up your character panel. So go to your Type in Tables and choose Paragraph. Now, this is where I check to see if you're aligning your baseline. So you do have that, so that's good. So that's aligned. You don't need to change that second button there. So now what we need to do is we're going to select all. Select all is basically see, object select, or wait, hold on. It's different up here. Edit select all. So it's Command A. And we're going to just click right over top of this body copy and just give it this body copy style. Now, if you see that little plus sign, what we're going to do is hit Control, and we're going to clear that override. We're going to say apply override. So we get rid of that little plus sign. Anytime you see that little plus sign, you don't want that there, because what that's saying is there's something not quite aligning with this, with how you have it set. There's a change in here that's not consistent. So what I did was I hit Control, click right over top of this blue part of the body copy, and I just said apply override. All right, so the only thing I see is your body copy is kind of spaced out a little bit too much. So I'm going to go up to InDesign and Preferences. So InDesign on your menu bar, Preferences, and we're going to go to your grids, and we're going to lower this point value, this increment every 12. We're going to try 9 and say, okay. And that's going to adjust where this aligns on a grid, but it's going to adjust your leading, so the space in between. Okay, now I'm going to go in here and I'm just going to delete there's a space there I had to delete. So click your, there's an extra space there. I don't know if you saw that. So I'm going to zoom in and show you. And let me get rid of this baseline grid, so you can see a little bit easier. HiLocs, HiGuides. And there you have a baseline grid showing. There it is. Okay, so you have an extra space here. Just get rid of that and then keep hitting delete. So you get rid of any spaces in here that are not needed, because it should automatically give you the space needed here. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back and change these subheads. So just kind of be patient with me right now. We're just kind of fixing these space issues here. Okay. So I'm just deleting these spaces out. We want the spacing to be consistent throughout. So if it's not, obviously it's not going to look professional. We want it to flow very nice and be able to easily be read. This one's even broken a different way. Okay, let's see, fit on page. All right, perfect. Okay. And then you can adjust this, like say if you think the leading's still a little bit too, I think it's a little bit too spaced out. Let me see here if I can rein that in a little bit. Although I might have to change we'll undo that. Let's go up to preferences and let's go back to grids. Let's see if we can make that a little bigger. Let's say 10. And then what we'll do is body copy. We'll change this to 13 or 12. Let's try 12. Okay, it's not doing anything. So we'll set the leading at 12 and we'll go back to maybe 12 on here. That looks good. It actually looks a lot better. Okay, so what I did, just so you know, when I went to grids, instead of having it all the way down to 9, I set it back to set it to 12. And then in your body copy style sheet, just go ahead and set your leading size to 12 and your size of your type size to 10. So 10 is your size of your font and the leading is the spacing in between. Set that to 12. That looks a little bit better. It's not so like far apart. All right. And then there's still some spaces here I need to get rid of. So I changed the leading size. Now I have all this extra copy coming in here. All right, now let's go ahead and make a style sheet for your subhead. So go ahead and select just your top subhead here. And we're going to go to your paragraph styles and click this little plus sign, double click over top of it, and then we're going to name this subheads. And we're going to just make these more emphasized, so maybe more bold, maybe a little bit bigger. Let's do like 12. You can even change the color. I'm going to leave it as that. So that's what's nice about these style sheets. I'll show you. So instead of you going in and doing that to each one of these, once you set your style sheets, all you need to do is highlight what you want to, what you want to set as that style sheet and click right on the style. So subheads. Okay. Now, the only thing I would say is you really want your subheads to be closer to the type that it belongs with. So this big space in here can be adjusted. So how you would do that is double click on your subhead style sheet, and you're going to go to indents and spacing. And you're going to get rid of the space after. Remember, we set that at 0.125. We're just going to go to 0 on that and see how it kind of allows you to have your type closer to where it belongs. So it's nice. It's a better flow. All right. Now the next thing is just making sure that this is set. Let me show our guides here. This text box with your 3 columns, should be aligning on the left margin, which is that purple line. So go ahead and pull this out a little bit till it hits that left margin, and then pull this to the right so it hits that right margin. And what that just, it just aligns it centered on your layout. And that's why those guides are there for you. I'm going to pull this down a little bit so it flows a little bit better. I'm going to pull this up one line so it's not so close to the footer here. And then these elements are getting a little bit busy in the background, so we really don't want that to get in the way of our information. So let's go to your stroke panel. We're going to set this to 0. And instead of doing like 3 circles, let's just do 1 circle. And let's pull this all the way out so it's more of like a circle. And it's okay if it bleeds off, that's fine. That's actually kind of very interesting, and you can just pull it anywhere you want here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this a little bit more transparent. Okay, so in your properties, you should have a properties panel. There it is. See where it says fill stroke, we want that to be 0. Opacity, we can dial this down a little bit. So that is not so dark. And I just think that looks a lot nicer. See how that kind of nicely, like it's just easier to read. Okay, so once that's set, just make sure all of your, oh yeah, we have to set, see how you have some of your hyphens here. I'll show you how to set this so you have less hyphens. So go up to InDesign, go to preferences. Oh, I'm sorry. This is not where you should see that. Find this. I always get confused on this. Let me pull this over here. You would go to your paragraph panel. So go to Window, type paragraph. Okay. So pull this paragraph panel up. Click on this right side little option box here. And we're going to choose hyphenation. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to fewer hyphens. So we're going to slide this little ticker to the right and click OK. And that's going to adjust your hyphens. See how that adjusted that manually so you don't have to worry about it. So it's just kind of creating less hyphens. It's kind of bumping that down. Also, make sure you're spell checking. I see some spelling errors here. And how you would do that is you would go up to edit spelling, check spelling. And then it's going to give you an option. It'll show you each word and you can change it. So competitors, it's spelled wrong. So we're going to choose the one that is spelled right and hit change. Same for language, change, necessary, change, communicate. That's spelled wrong. That's the right way to spell it. So just go throughout, look very closely, because this is also the devil's in the details type stuff that you should be paying attention to. And you can say change all. That way it kind of takes care of any other changes. I do see a weird space here too. Guess is, I think it's spelled guess. There, hiring process. There we go. That was spelled wrong. All right, so spell check is definitely something you should be doing. And then what's happening here is we don't have another copy box over here, so we want it to flow into another copy box. So go to your page 2, take your type tool and go ahead and draw out a type box. I'm going to pull this in a little bit so it's more aligned to our guides here. So just one type box, okay? Just draw that in there. Go back to your page 1 and see this little, it's hard to see, this little red box at the very bottom. That's just telling me I have more copy here, but it's not showing. So I'm going to click on that little red box and it should show these like little words. That's pretty much indicating that I have words to place. Where do you want it placed? So click into that new type box that you just did. And what that does is it links to this box. So anytime that you adjust, and I'll show you here, watch what happens. Say if I pull this down, make it like smaller, it's going to flow into this box. So it'll adjust together. It's synced together. And that's what you want. You want this to be synced together. And you have a lot of room here. So really we can go in and do some really cool things here. I don't know why there's, I don't know what this is. I don't know, let me check and see what's going on here. This must be in the type or something. Interesting. Okay. Let me delete that. There we go. I just had to delete. Something was placed in there to make that little weird line. Okay. And then, keeping these elements simple, I would take out the stroke just to none. Just keep it simple. You can bleed these out. So if you set your bleed, let's see, document setup, file document setup, you can set your bleed here. So let's do 0.12 or let's do 0.25. And click OK. That's going to set your bleed. So anything that's like to the edge, say a design element, you want to set that to the bleed. So when this prints, you don't have any weird white gaps going on. If I'm going to set this to 0 here. If you have any like shifting on the press, there's no white gaps being shown there. So just pull anything that's bleeding off into that area. So I'm pulling that up. It won't necessarily look like this. I'll show you what it'll look like because the trim view will show you what it's going to look like. If you go here, that's what it will look like, trimmed. And then this is kind of before. Maybe try pulling this down into this space a little bit more. Might be kind of nice where you're kind of filling just this little area with this image. And then go up to object, fitting, fill frame proportionately. It'll kind of fill it in there nicely. And then at that point, what I would say is kind of make some adjustments here. Let's do 0 again. Let's set our bleeds up here before I. Perfect. We can pull this down. What's going to happen is you're going to have to put a table of contents on the first page anyway. So you do have a nice, nice space here to do that. Say if you wanted to add it up here or within your copy, you do have a lot of space to do that. So I'm just going to kind of play around with this to make it look like it flows a little bit better. There we go. Make sure everything kind of aligns nicely. So now you have this, you can always pull this up just slightly and put your table of contents down here too. It's completely up to you. Kind of play around with it, but we will be placing in table of contents. You can even just make this 2 columns if you want at that point. I'm throwing in kind of like what happens in the real world, 2 columns here, because this is what happens when you're in publishing. Sometimes they throw you like changes and it's something that you don't, obviously you're not expecting. And let's see here, what are you doing? Margins and guides. I'm just changing your guides here. There we go. So like say, for instance, you wanted to put your table of contents here. Let's just pretend like that's your table of contents. Okay, another thing I did notice too, actually, before even, we need to, this is actually your headline, so my bad. Let's copy this, just do Command C and delete this, because we want this to be treated differently. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw another text box above here, above the 2 columns, if you change it to 2 columns. Oops. And it's going to be a separate text box. Go ahead and paste that in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a new paragraph cell. And we're going to name this headline. And we're just going to make this much bigger, maybe even a different font. So it might be kind of nice. Let's see. I don't know that one. Make it something very different. There we go, something like that. Let's do auto. Okay, and then what we want to do before we do anything too, we want to make sure this is not aligning to a grid. So go to indents and spacing and say none, just because this is just its own text box. It'll be easier to adjust if you want to change the spacing, say in between these two lines of text, and it's a bigger font. It'll be easier to do that. Let's do center align. And oops. Let's do this again. I just canceled out my changes. I forget which one I had. Adobe Castellan 32. Indents and spacing, none. General. What did I have for this? Not 32, 24. Let's take down just a little bit more. Okay. And then that was my bad. I clicked cancel because I didn't see. Click OK when you're done. And then now you can kind of pull this closer to your copy. This is the headline, so it should be treated a little differently than subheads. You know, you want that to be your intro to this copy. So pull it just a little closer. You can pull this up a little bit more. And then if this seems like it's too spaced out, you could even bring this down just a little bit. Yeah, that looks good. And you could center this. You can, there you go, perfect. So that looks pretty good. So this would be your table contents. You can, I'm just putting this placeholder in here so you can kind of see that's where you could do something like that. And you have so much room down here. Now at this point, because we put that table contents in, we need to adjust this because we have more copy here. So it probably would be good to just adjust your elements here. So you're kind of constantly just kind of making it work. There you go. Perfect. And you know, that's fine because we have the space here. Okay, something like that. And then I would adjust this. So maybe it bumps here, kind of like how we had it before. So it would look like, let me show you what it would look like once trimmed. You know, so it flows really nice from here to there. Okay. Just this, that goes over the page number a little bit. There we go. So you have your headline, you have your type, and everything set nicely in your style guides. You have a place for your table contents. You have to plug that in over top, find a space for it. Your page numbers are already in there. Now you're not going to see it if you have an element over top. You're not going to see your page number there. There's ways around that, but you know, for this being like a very start, it's like a fundamental class. Let's just go with what I've showed you so far so you don't get too confused because you have to actually create another parent page. But it's okay as long as the other ones are showing, as long as you have page 1, 3, and 4, that's fine if one of them goes missing. Or you can adjust this if you want to so that you can see it. So like you pull that up, for instance. If you pulled that up, I would probably pull this down to match, you know, do something very consistent. And then, you know, kind of figure out the space. I would make these two elements the same size and maybe just pull everything up slightly. So you have equal space at the bottom and equal space here and equal space here. So you could do something like that. Okay, so and then before you even do anything, saving it and all that, just make sure everything's flowing right. You don't want any widows in your copy. Widows is like, for instance, if this was the last one word on the last line, you don't want that. You would fix that. That looks okay though. Any weird breaks, like if this were just one line up here, you would need to fix it, but you have 2 lines, so that's good. Just see, you know, for any odd things going on spatially, but that looks pretty good. And then when you're done with that, this is how you would, because I noticed you had some issues with packaging, you would save this obviously, and then you would go to File, Package, And it's going to tell you like all the fonts that you have, any images that aren't linked. Now I have a little sign here because I need to link one of my images. So let's check that out. Go to window and go to links. And it looks like, oh, I don't see any problems here. So I'm going to go to file package and links and images. Yep, it's linked or good. Then just hit package. Now this is where it's important. What you want to do is you want to name it your first initial, and I'm just going to do mine, and last name underscore newsletter 1. Okay, that's what you want to name it. So your first initial, last name underscore newsletter 1 or part 1. There you go. I'm going to save it to my desktop, but you should be saving it into your school folder for every week. And what you want is you want all of these checked. Okay. And with that, I would say you could just do smallest file for PDF settings. That's fine. You don't want it to be a huge PDF. Just make sure all of these are checked and hit package. And then that's going to, that's going to package everything. And I just put it on my desktop, so it's easier to see here, into this little folder. So if I double click on it, I should see your fonts that were used, your linked images. I should see your InDesign file. And then this is just telling me I have it open. That's why it's there. And then your PDF. So you can double click on your PDF and just make sure it looks good. Okay. So you have that page and that page. So that's what it looks like. And once we go forward, you'll have these pages too, but they're going to be blank. As you go forward, you're going to do your other article on page 3 and 4. And then you're also going to be adding your table contents to your first page. Oops. I don't think I'm showing that. Sorry. Okay. So this is your first page, second page, and then I should see blank and blank. So you should have your table contents here. And then page 3 will start this week's part 2 article, which will flow into the last page. Okay, let me share my desktop. I know you probably didn't see that before. This is my folder again, and I probably missed showing you this, but this is the folder. Just double click. And again, this is your fonts. This is your linked images. This is your InDesign file, and this just means that I have it open on my desktop, and then this is the PDF. So if everything's in there, it looks good, then we're going to compress this. So we're going to select that folder and go File, Compress to zip it. And then this is what you're going to submit to me for evaluation. I hope this helps.